fine. So you can see
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, sure. I'm coming back here. SoCon John Hooper joins me Mondays at 1:30, and he usually stays for the whole half hour. I'm Marky Billson. It's Tri-City Sports Now, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, as well as JetBroadcasting.live and our Facebook page. This is archived. So if you want to go back and listen to the interview, just go to the Facebook page, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. SoCon John, all right, now tell me this. You were mentioning at the end the ETSU's relationship, their big man culture and all that on the basketball court. Let's complete that thought, and then let's see if we can't go to picking our football ballot, SoCon John.
Well, I just was saying that I think they've, it's a different, coaches have different backgrounds, and, like if you look at what ETSU is doing with their big men, they're similar to what Wichita State does.
Sure, and that's what Greg Marshall, that's where Steve Forbes came from.
So, but it's different. If you look at most of the backgrounds of the coaches in the league, it's different from their respective backgrounds, so to speak. Whereas, I know, for instance, Mark Prosser, who comes from, Winthrop, who was at, Wofford before that. Dustin Kearns, who's at Appalachian State. Was at Wofford at one point and recruited Fletcher McGee. They both mentioned positionless basketball. I've heard Coach Richie at Vernon talk about, there's not one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but so it's different. You look at coaches' backgrounds, and I think that they more lend themselves to where they come from. Now, if you look at Mercer, which is Coach Gary comes in, he's going to be more of a Purdue Midwestern style of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be more like ETSU. And so there's just, I think it's always interesting. It's not like a 6 degrees of separation, but it is like if you look at who these guys' mentors were. So obviously they're gonna be in the same, I guess, the thinking and in the same mode as far as their philosophy. And I think that could be said for Coach Forbes. I think it would be said for Gary at Mercer. So, and I think it's harder to do what Steve Forbes is doing at ETSU than it is to find, because it's so hard to find big men that aren't going to a major institution,
Mm-hmm.
and not only that are skilled and can keep you on a level to where you're going to be competing for conference championships in a mid-major conference. So that's not easy. So, you look at the guys that you have to kind of have a knack for finding guys that are, that are being on top of guys that are good at ranks that, you're in on them before maybe some of the Power 5 schools.
Now, Forbes is very big with the JUCOs and transfers and all this, which I always thought when he was coaching alongside Carl Torbush, who shunned all JUCOs, and there was never any mention except on here about, something, you can't have it both ways. You can't have Torbush, say, oh, no, JUCOs, and then tell you how great he's doing, and then over here Steve Forbes does all the JUCOs. Oh, he's just doing great. That's a double standard right there and all this. And I know football is different than basketball, but still, we were the only people that ever really, I was the only guy that ever really mentioned how that was a very different dichotomy and such. Let me look at, and just one last thing. Could you see Western in basketball win the SoCon? You mentioned sleeper. Could you see them go that far, or is it still ETSU's conference to lose?
No, I wouldn't probably go
that far. Okay, winning record, yes. Title.
I will say this. I think as far as getting a bye in the opening round, I think they can. I think they'll
okay.
A top 4 or 5 team.
All right. Okay. Top 4 possibly for Western. There you go. And then what can All right. Now then, it's time to talk football. We were going out there, although a very interesting article on Western Carolina. Read SoCon John Hooper on Mid-Major Madness about this. All right. A couple of weeks ago, we looked at the Street and Smiths that came out. They picked Wofford to win the Southern Conference. Furman number 2, ETSU number 3. And we're all right, okay, yeah, that sounds sure. You think they're going to do it, or who are you voting for in your media ballot to win the Southern Conference? Because I can't figure it out at all.
Well, eventually I came down to Wofford. It's my number one team because I just felt like, and it's really hard to do because Wofford, I think, is a team that returned their entire offensive line.
Yes.
That's a huge plus when you look at FCS football, and they've got some depth there. And I think they've got multiple guys that could, possibly win, all conference awards. Michael Ralph, the left tackle, is really good. Justice Basinger, and then you've got Josh Berger, who I think is probably the best offensive lineman in the league. But I picked them number one. They have lost a good bit on defense. I think about Miles Brown up the defensive line. I think that's a huge loss. But I think overall, I mean, if you look at it, they have enough coming back to probably repeat as champions or at least be
sure.
an FCS playoff team. But I'm not so sure that they're that much ahead of everybody else.
That's the thing. There's always something missing with that. For instance, Wofford loses their top 2 rushers from last year, and the quarterback situation is uncertain. Now, as I look through this and I go down the line, I mean, ETSU, I don't know if they're going to complete a pass this year. I really don't. I mean, their wide receivers really aren't that good. We have no idea who the quarterback is going to be, and I was talking about
Their defense is going to be good.
Their defense. Yes, hold on to that thought here. Furman. All right, now, Adrian Hope is a beast. I'm going to give you that. But is there, what else is there with Furman? I mean, they got to replace their quarterback, Harris Roberts. And remember, it wasn't that long ago that Furman was 3-8. I just don't know where to go with this. Chattanooga has a quarterback that some are talking about as a potential NFL draft choice in Nick Tiano, and some good receivers to throw to. But their starting running back returning has a 3.7 yards per carry average. I don't necessarily like that. Mercer, you like their quarterback, but you know what? Here's the stat of the day. Bobby Lamb has not won 7 victories in 15 Southern Conference seasons since he was at Furman in 2008. Now, hold on to that. I mean, so wait a minute here. Samford, no, they lose everybody. I'm sorry. No, this is at Citadel. Not really all that standout. VMI returns 19 out of 22 starters. You think they may have the best passing game in the conference. They're VMI. They're not going to win it. By the way, one thing I will say about VMI, I noticed this. Remember the loss they suffered to ETSU 27-24, the start of last season, in large part because they had the ball around the 30-yard line, but they did not have a kicker with that kind of range that could make, say, a 46, 47-yard field goal. They have on their roster listed right now 5 freshman kickers. They're going to find somebody who can kick a 50-yard field goal at VMI. Remember that. They won't lose that game that they lost the way they did to ETSU this year, in my opinion. So there is some reason to believe that the Keydets can win 4 games or so, Western Carolina, you'd like Tyree Adams. You think he's their best, quarterback in the league. You think that they probably have the best receivers to throw to. Unfortunately, they have no offensive line.
Right.
I see this as the conference that no one can win. And I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Wofford. And you know why? Because they've got an easy schedule to start, and I think that could give them momentum.
Right. They do play an 11-game schedule, but it's an all Division I schedule. And I think that their toughest game is in late October against Clemson, obviously, the defending champions. But as far as their other non-conference games, South Carolina State.
Yeah.
Really.
They start with South Carolina State, then it's Samford who will be down, then it's Garner-Webb, then they travel to VMI, And so that means that they could be 4-0 when they travel to ETSU.
Right. Yeah, I think they will be. And I think that VMI and Stanford are two teams that you mentioned that I think are going to obviously finish in the lower half of the league. And I say that about Stanford. I know they have some good pieces returning, but you lose a guy like Devlin Hodges. It's just so tough.
Yeah, I just, and they didn't win it with Devlin Hodges. What are they going to do now? All right, I want to talk about this. I got to have this guy on. Jim Johnson, SouthernPigskin.com, has ranked the 50 best players in the Southern Conference. Now, I mean, one of the reasons why you wouldn't go with Wofford, okay, is, today's day and age is 3 yards in a cloud of dust who you really want to pick to win the Southern Conference. And their best player is Justice Bassinger. Now, Justice Bassinger is actually picked as the second best player, a guard who could be drafted. Remember that name, Justice Bassinger, best offensive lineman in the Southern Conference. He plays for Wofford. Here is the top 5 out of the 50 players for Jim Johnson. Okay, Adrian Hope, sophomore linebacker from Furman, 15 sacks last year. He's only the 5th best player. Nasir Player. Some people are talking about Nasir Player as a potential NFL draft choice. Defensive lineman from ETSU. Very interesting that the senior player ahead of the sophomore Hope when Hope had the 15 sacks. Number 3, you think he is better than Tiano. Maybe not for looking like a pro quarterback, but getting the job done. Tyree Adams out of Western Carolina, the quarterback. Justice Bassinger, offensive line, second best player. Do you know who, mind you, Jim Johnson of SouthernBigSkin.com thinks is the best player in the Southern Conference? And by the way, I love this choice.
Let's see, I might guess the best player in the Southern Conference.
Who is the player that Marky Billson stood up for when everyone else was calling him soft?
Harry Robinson.
Very good. Yes. And it was a bad rap that they ever called him soft. It was absolutely unjustified. It was the ETSU fan base saying, we've got to protect our coach. Joe Vento in the John City Press couldn't even spell Robinson's name right. That was a disgrace how he was treated, and we were the one guy, media outlet around here that stood up for Robinson. And I'm proud to have said that now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have no problem.
By the way, now here's the deal, and this might be the argument for ETSU to win it. We're running out of time, but if Robinson's the best player at defensive back, Nasir Player is going to bring the rush from the defensive line. And a guy you like a lot, Quay Holmes, you think he's the best running back in the conference. Well, here we go. SouthernPigskin.com, Jim Johnson has just named those guys 3 of the top 6 players in the SoCon. All right, maybe that's enough to take ETSU, but I just don't know if they're going to complete a pass. I mean, this passing game is so suspect.
It all depends on quarterback for ETSU. Offensively.
Who are they going to throw to? I don't know who they're going to throw to. I mean, didn't you rank ETSU as having the worst receivers in the league? Wide receivers. They're at the bottom if they're not the worst.
Right.
Okay.
Is it Spagnoletti? He's a decent receiver.
Yeah.
And they had am I right by saying they have a transfer from Mississippi State?
They are. He started as actually, I think, a linebacker for the Bulldogs, though. Yes.
Yeah, and he's pretty ranked. I mean, he's like 6'6", so if that can work out, and granted, I guess Matt Pike was the major loss off the offensive line. At Jacobs Blocking Award winner from last year. The offensive line should be decent. The running game, you would think, with Jacob Sailors and Quay Holmes will be pretty good.
20 seconds here. Okay,
I think ETSU will compete, for a title. It just depends on how quarterback works out.
I'd pick the Bucks, but it's just like that. Who's going to be the quarterback? Quite frankly, the team I saw in the spring game was not conference title worthy, but they got a lot of additions since then.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be all right. I think there's probably an FCS playoff contender.
You
It's not a shoe in for the playoffs.